Forms regarding to change your sponsorship in Qatar. Yes, most of you will agree with me. You don't need an NOC to change your sponsorship. However, something that you need to understand, there are hidden costs that we get to incur, especially when it comes to what we call financial and non-financial situations. Yes, let us try to go through what we call some of those hidden costs that most of you might have experienced, well not knowing may look like a straightforward process. However, something that you need to understand or something you need to know is that there are hidden costs that most of us, you might have experienced, you must have incurred, but you do not know where the costs are coming from. Yes, we look at the recent reforms regarding to change your sponsorship in Qatar. Yes, most of you will agree with me. You don't need an NOC to change your sponsorship. However, something that you need to understand, there are hidden costs that we get to incur, especially when it comes to what we call financial and non-financial situations. Yes, let us try to go through what we call some of those hidden costs that most of you might have experienced, well not knowing that you incur such kind of costs. For example, let us try to look at what we call processing and application fee. Yes, most of you will agree with me. We look at transfer of change of sponsorship by government. Yes, government fee, which is around 2,000 to 500, depending on what you call per profession and what you call the sector. Then we look at medical, fingerprint. Yeah, there are some professions where you need to change sense of sponsorship, but however, you need to retake what you call, you need to redo what you call medical. So you find the person who is doing the process may take between 100 to 300. So those are some of what you call hidden costs. We look at QID renewals. There are those that have changed sponsorship, but your QID is either expired. So knowing that, meaning that if your ID is expired, there will be what you call, it will need what you call renewal. So you find that the renewal process may take between 500 to 1,000. That is going to depend on what you call the validity and also depending on what you call their employer. Some of you've dealt with agents in one or the other to do what you call ID renewal in that case, so you find the cost will lie between that amount. We look at translation and documentations. Yes, translation of documentations, either for example translating your academic certificates from English to Arabic, you may find the translation typing center. Each of them will charge a different amount of money, and you find some of them charge as high as 100 to between 200 per page, depending on what definitely you need to understand. However, I always keep on telling people that before you think of changing sponsorship to any company, you need to go either to the freelancing, first talk to the employer and that company. Talk one-on-one and see who is going to shoulder what we call the expenses, who is going to incur, who is going to be the burden holder of all those kind of costs in one way or the other. If both of you agree to 50%, then probably it will be a very good deal for you in case. And if you are going to change to a company, definitely most of you'll agree with me, you've changed to companies and the companies are requesting you to pay what you call visa sponsorship fee. So probably all those you need to know. Let us try to look at what you call delays in administrative bottlenecks. For example, administrative, we look at change of sponsorship. Normally the change of sponsorship takes between 2 to 6 weeks, and even sometimes it may take longer depending on what we call small issues or small situations, like for example clearance from the current sponsor. Maybe the current sponsor rejects it out, negative remarks already put against you in the Ministry of Labor, which may delay the change. We look at Ministry of Labor approval, delays approval, especially if you apply on the weekends. It will be a long day, it will be a long weekend until the approval will come. Then we have pending fines and legal issues. For example, if you run away, you have a runaway case, then the change of sponsor may not be approved, and this you have a case in the Ministry of Labor, it may not approve in a kind or the other in case there's some all those are being get off. We look at contractual, what you call contractual consequences. For example, we look at the contracts. Most of you change sponsorship, but the contracts have what you call the non-competing clause. So you find that the non-competing clause, you cannot move you cannot switch or you cannot move to another job that is dealing in the same line of business, like the same job that you do. Most of you will agree with me when it comes to security companies, security jobs, they either in any way or the other for you to switch to another company. Yes, there have always been those kind of bottlenecks stopping you from move, because in your contract that you not realize there is what we call a non-compete clause which prevents you. Then we say if the employer may also claim that you violated the contract, and definitely if file negative reports against in the Ministry of Labor, you may find that your change of sponsorship may be agreed, may be refused. Then we see work ban. Let's say for example an employer claims that he has negative reports marks against you. You may find your work ban may be banned for 1 or 2 years, and you may not be allowed to change. Also negative reports in the Ministry of Labor system. Most of the employers or some employers may put negative reports. So you find that those kind of hidden costs may not be financial, but also may be non-financial, which may delay what you call change of sponsorship or changing from